Welcome back to the Links Golf Club podcast, your weekly live show about our wonderful club and the world of golf. I'm amped. There was some breaking news. A press conference went out earlier today about the Spey Bay Ryder Cup. It's got me fired up. This week, we're going to break down the biggest storylines heading into the FedEx Cup Playoffs. We're going to draft our picks to win it all, see if we can compete a little bit there. We're going to dive into the launch of the brand new Clubhouse, your digital home for Links membership, and react to breaking news from that emergency Spey Bay Ryder Cup press conference, which has the whole golf media landscape absolutely on fire. Stick around for all that and more. I got Chris Coop, obviously basketball in the background. How y'all feeling today? How's it going?
Doing well. Yeah, the Ryder Cup press conference got me amped up today. Eagerly awaiting leadership from the U.S. side to come out with something.
A lot of people are talking about that.
A lot of people. I've getting DMs, Chris. How are we going to respond?
We've got more news coming. Just keep your eyes and ears peeled.
No.
Get ready. Team USA is, we're gearing up for it. We won't be. We had a little bit of a drubbing last year, but we aren't going to let that happen again this year. So just be ready for it. 22 days and counting until Spey Bay Ryder Cup. Get ready.
See, we're going more for like the quiet confidence of a John Wayne or a Steve McQueen instead of like the unbridled enthusiasm. I see what you're doing. I like it, and we're going to talk more about it for sure. Any housekeeping before we jump in, guys?
Yeah, well, you should know by now, but if you don't, today's podcast is sponsored by the Gemini credit card, the only instant crypto rewards credit card on the market, and hands down one of the best credit cards if you love golf. And that is because you can earn 10% back in crypto on golf course purchases through September 30th this summer. I got the black card. Coop's got the orange card. I just used it to pay my monthly bill this month. Feeling great about that. Got a little golf spend in myself, so taking advantage. How about you guys? You guys have any big purchases this last week?
Absolutely. Well, did you see that they are now offering you can trade in your black card for the orange one? So people who have buyer's remorse for going with the black card, they're like freebie will get you a new orange one. So if you do want to join the club, you can do that.
Okay.
I saw that. I was debating. I might go with my understated black card still. We'll see.
But yeah, Glizzy's at the turn. Links events, right? The Spey Bay event, you can put that on the Gemini card, get 10% back. I mean, there's tons of awesome use cases at golf courses for this card. I think I just hit my $200 sign up reward limit too, so got that coming in Bitcoin right now. So excited about that.
Sweet. Yeah, I bought this wonderful hat with the Gemini card at the Country Club of Buffalo in the pro shop. Got some
Very
rewards
nice.
back for that. Also paid for a round at the Links at Ivy Ridge in Akron, New York, outside of Buffalo. Fantastic spot. If you're in the Western New York area, highly recommend it. Got some stuff back for that. And then I bought 3 buckets of balls at Diamond Hawk in Farmington, another golf course. And I just pounded balls for 3 hours before my flight took off on Sunday back from Buffalo. So, we had a good spending week on the Gemini card for sure.
Love it. Racking up the golf related rewards, 10% back. And you mentioned it, but it is pretty awesome. So Spey Bay memberships, Hillcrest memberships, also any Links events that you're signing up for they all meet this criteria, right? They all get registered as that golf course spend, and that earns you 10% back up to $250 in spend a month through September 30th. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention $200 sign-up bonus, like Coop mentioned, and you're getting up to 4% back on any non-golf spend as well. They've got a few different spend categories. I know I've been hitting up the restaurants and dining category quite a bit this past week, getting 3% back, which is pretty awesome. So the card is great. We've talked about it. You get the rewards instantly. You can see them on the app, which is kind of incredible, and awesome rewards. And as we have mentioned, Bitcoin rewards earned and held for 1 year on the Gemini credit card have appreciated 176% on average. So you're investing as you spend rather than just racking up some rewards points, which may or may not have value later. So truly a no-brainer. Awesome for golfers. Awesome for people who want to get or start a little crypto exposure, crypto investment. So we're loving the partnership with Gemini so far and excited to have them sponsor this podcast. We'll start off with that. But Coop, I know we've got some other announcements this week before we get into the main pod.
Yes, we do. Couple of things want to get into. We've got Lynx hats. We've got the Fishbird hats, which I think are sold out. I got my shipping notification today for that, so I'm really excited. Those are out for delivery. It's Joan's birthday, but I think that's going to be the biggest present that gets delivered today. So, just happens. We've got Lynx coin hats in the pro shop. Those are still available, so make sure you pick those up. On that note, if you are a Lynx coin enthusiast, a collector, pop into the Discord. We have a new role available for our Lynx coin millionaires. That is a special tool which will help us later. So stay tuned on that front, but pop in the Discord, reconnect your Lynx coin wallet for some potential rewards going forward. Additionally, last week we covered Pristine Bay, which is an awesome new benefit, or kind of a resumption of an older benefit, where you can get 5 free rounds of awesome tropical golf at the Black Pearl course when you stay at the resort. So members are already planning some trips, some winter getaways. If you want to get involved in that, join that conversation or book your solo trip, right? We're not going to get in your way. You get great room rates on all of that. Got Lynx Academy, which the U.S. team I think has already been using to, tune up a little bit before the Ryder Cup. We've got David Huffman, the teaching pro. We just had a demo last week with all of that. That benefit is also available in Clubhouse. We'll show you around that a little bit later here as well. But yeah, exciting stuff going on in the club. And then we've got fantasy football coming up. It's about to be fall. A lot of good stuff happening in the club. So hop in the Discord. We'll see you around in there for all of that.
Sweet. Yeah, the next time that we talk, I'll be wearing a Fishbird hat because I also got my shipping notification today, which is, it's like Christmas today. This is great. All right, so let's dive in. Let's talk about a little bit about the FedEx playoffs. So starts this week, and I think there's been a lot of conversation. They sort of released changes in rule stuff, which we'll talk about. They call it the playoffs. That format changing a little bit. It's not really like playoffs as we conventionally know in other sports, but it's like a chance to develop some artificial excitement over these last 3 weeks, especially in the doldrums between the British Open and the Ryder Cup. So let's talk about it a little bit. It's happening at TPC Southwind. Honestly, I don't have that much to say about that course. It's relatively new. It's a private club just outside of Memphis. In my half-assed internet research, I actually didn't know that Fuzzy Zeller had a hand in like at least consulting. I think when they built it, they knew they wanted it to be a tournament course, so they consulted the tour pros they could get their hands on. I think they probably could have done better than Fuzzy Zeller, but that's who they got. But the course record is a 61, which is pretty nice. We tried to get a course record at the British Open. We did not get one at all. But so guys, like, let's just starting out. What are some of the storylines you're looking at? As you think about starting this tournament tomorrow, obviously starting with the FedEx playoffs in general, what's catching your eye right now as you prepare?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of news this week about Rory skipping the first week, which, seen both sides, right? Some people are absolutely outraged. How could one of the top players in the game skip a week? And then others, I think, correctly noting that pretty much every other professional sport, the top contenders get a bye in the first round, get to skip around. So I don't think that's necessarily that outraging. Although probably goes a little bit against the PGA Tour's goal of trying to get the maximum amount of competition and eyeballs and all that stuff. But saw a bunch of chatter about that, but I'm not too keyed in on it. I'm more while the FedEx Cup is not the most exciting or hasn't historically been the most exciting event, it is basically just more signature events. So it is getting the best players on tour together and getting to see everyone at once with some minor exceptions like Rory. So that's not a bad thing. We're done with majors for the year, and kind of biding our time until the Ryder Cup. So I'll take a few more high profile events here while we can get them.
Yeah, I think just to touch on the Roy thing, I think it was Kyle Porter who did say it would be like saying all season best team by regular season record gets a bye. They take their bye, and then everyone yells at them for taking the bye. Like it's kind of an absurd standard to hold Rory to. Obviously, it's Rory, and Rory content, especially Rory hater content, it gets the clicks. I think it's a non-story, but obviously, to your point, it'd be nice to see him there as a fan. Like I'd be much more excited about tomorrow and this weekend if Rory was there, which is always the case. But it's hard to fault him for it. I guess like Scotty obviously has the highest data golf odds. I think he's the clear betting favorite. We'll get into our draft. I'm sure he'll be the number one overall pick. Maybe we'll get some surprises. Sure thing. Like Scotty or the field. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I think Scotty is very clearly in form coming into this, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, my thought on this is it's kind of lame we don't have a late season major to kind of work up to, and this takes that spot. But I do like that there's a progression to it. That how you perform early on, unless your Rory kind of has an impact going into it. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking Scotty is smart money here. We've looked at the betting odds. You're going to outperform the S&P 500. I think that trend continues.
Yeah, might as well put 100 in this week, next week, and the week after. I think one thing to touch on is the rule format change. So this was announced months ago now, where it used to be true that your FedEx points really did matter because they had this concept of you could still be the tour champion if you won the tour championship, but then you could also be the FedEx Cup winner if you accrued the most points. And it was always this confusing thing. So the way that they sort of tried to bridge those two things was in the tour championship, because they wanted it to be the same person, you got a head start. Certain number of strokes under. It's kind of like watching a Grant Horvath video. Someone starts with like under, and then everyone else starts with a different score, and then everyone tries to catch up. It's like a handicap, right? I think it was always weird to a lot of people, so they did change it this year. That's not happening. And they're just going to play straight up, which I think is better. We talked about in a previous pod, I think what we all wanted to see for this. Agree, Cooper. Like, I think the North Star, this should feel like a major. It's hard to get there, and I know there's a whole bunch of other reasons why that can't necessarily be the case, but as a fan, that's what I would want. I'd be wanting to have like parties, on the Tour Championship, and I'd be as excited about it as I am for the Open, the PGA Championship to a lesser extent, but the Masters, and the U.S. Open. So any thinking about the format? Obviously, that's a big storyline this week. Do you think it's going to change the way we think about this or watch it at all?
I think it is. I do like the change. I agree. The net scoring was always a little awkward and confusing, and probably turned some people off, or dimmed the excitement a little bit. It's hard to get really excited about a change back to like a normal 72 hole stroke play format. It's like it's basically just reverting to the normal tournament format. It's not like some exciting new thing, but it'll at least be nice that everyone will be able to tell who's winning, where people are starting, and just kind of like, take in the competition that way, if nothing else.
Yep. Let's, like every other conversation that I have, I try to make it about the Ryder Cup. And we talked about last week that the real Ryder Cup is happening in Spey Bay at the end of this month. But the kind of lamestream Ryder Cup is happening, obviously, at Bethpage. We are now like in, I think, appropriate conversations about the Ryder Cup. I've been bringing it up for months. Obviously, I've been bringing it up since the last one ended. No one wants to talk about it with me, but now like there are real implications to what's happening, right? Like there are players that are on the bubble, both for auto qualifying. So top 6 get in. That's right now Scheffler, Xander, JJ Spawn, Russell Henley, Bryson, Harris English. If it ended today, those guys would automatically make it. Then you have a group of 10-ish guys, 10, 15-ish guys that like there are strong arguments either direction whether or not they should be there, but I would have to assume that the points for like number one is there are guys who can make it into the top. Like right now, Harris English, the difference between Harris English and Justin Thomas is basically like some good or bad finishes from either guy. Colin's a little bit further back, but like 7, 8, 9, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin have a reasonable shot to perform well over the next 3 weeks and make it to the top 6, which would mean some of those top 6 guys fall, right? I'd have to also expect that the points factor in some way to the captain's picks. as he's looking at that leaderboard, which, as everyone talks about all the time, Keegan is currently sitting at 10th and is participating in all 3 of these tournaments unless he doesn't make the cuts, right? So there are real Ryder Cup implications. Is there anyone that you're looking at on the bubble that you want to see perform well, that you want to see on the team? Who do you think has the biggest chance to fall in the top 6? Let's navigate into that part of the conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cameron Young basically just inserted himself into the conversation last week. Wasn't really a part of it, and then absolutely dominated everybody last week. And certainly, like historically, has the game to be there. Just kind of hasn't shown up. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what he does over the next 3 weeks. Interesting that Cantlay is on the outside looking in currently. He's kind of like a mainstay of the past number of teams. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's the Keegan drama, which we aren't going to get away from for the next 2 months for sure. But yeah, I mean, those are my biggest takeaways, but it will make for a much more interesting next 3 weeks, I think. Like we have some real spots on the line, people on the bubble, and, the whole Keegan decision. So, it's going to make for fun jockeying, if nothing else. But I don't know,
hope...
Cooper, what names were like jumping out to you?
Can I make
everything?
one comment and joke first,
Yes.
and then we'll get to Cooper?
If you must.
You saying Keegan and decision, I really hope he does like a LeBron-esque decision on ESPN, like he did when he went to Miami. I would pay-per-view that. Sorry, Cooper, you go ahead.
I think that'd be fantastic. No, I think this matters so much more than in a non-Ryder Cup year. Because like the payouts are still huge, and that's why a lot of these guys are excited about the FedEx Cup. But the season-long, competition means so much more when it's about representing your country versus an off year. And it's not something I really picked up on until this year of paying really close attention to some of the Keegan drama as well. I think it's probably worst case scenario if Keegan holds steady and just kind of like doesn't out or underperform anything and has to make this bubble selection pick of himself or anything else. My dream is he, does really, really well, is in there at like the 7-8 spot, and it's like a shoe-in. Cantlay, Cameron Young, I think are interesting. I'd like to see Sam Burns and perhaps Goddard make a play. I think he's been interesting and also a fun player to watch this past couple of weeks in the old country. So if he could bring it back and kind of win on U.S. soil, that might be a fun, fulfilling end to this season. But yeah, I mean, it's going to mean more, right? These guys are playing for more than just the cash right now.
Yep. Yeah, I think Henley and English of the top 6 right now have the most to lose, I would say, because they could get leapfrogged and probably would be the hardest to justify not taking in the captain's picks. I think Bryson's a shoe-in, even though he's not going to earn any points. I think it's impossible for Keegan not to take Bryson. I think the same thing goes with JJ Spawn. Just like if you win a major, you just get so many points, right? Like that puts you into the top of the list. But Russell Henry and Harris English, I'd be a little bit worried about. So I'm definitely watching them over the next 3 weeks. And then I think guys like, Justin Thomas, Ben Griffin, and Keegan probably have the most to gain, right? Because Keegan has at least said over and over that he wouldn't pick himself. So I think he probably wants to get into the top 6. So he needs to perform to do that. And then I think like guys like Colin Morikawa are going to get picked. I think that's justifiable. He's 8th in points right now. But I am watching. Like I think the stress levels are going to be high for the 2 guys I named in the top 6 and some of these guys in the bubble. Not to mention you brought up Cameron Young. To me, is the most fascinating person to watch over the course of the next 3 weeks because I don't think he would have any shot at auto qualifying, but if he plays really well over the next 3 weeks, kind of like obviously Lucas Glover did 2 years ago, where he like really put his stamp on it, got into the team. Mostly because of how he performed at the end. I mean, obviously he had enough points to get there, but Cam Young could be one of those guys who's peaking at the right time that I would really want on the team. Not to mention he's a great match play player, but I just want him there at Bethpage, right? So it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah. Only other thing, I think, lesser implications because people probably care about this less. Another thing about the finishing is the top 50 auto qualify to all signature events next year. So there also are some guys in the bubble there. So watching out for Jordan Spieth. He's 48th in the standings now. Safe today, but who knows? Wyndham Clark is 49th. Minwoo Lee is 50th. Ricky Fowler is 64th. And so then you have some guys like Max Grazerman who are on the bubble to get in. So how they perform is going to have a huge impact on their paychecks next year and their ability to be in signature events, which means a whole lot. Obviously, guys like Jordan Spieth are going to get a bunch of sponsorship exemptions, but there is a reality in which Ricky Fowler isn't in every signature event next year unless he gets a sponsorship exemption. And that is, I think, probably like a pretty high likelihood scenario.
Yeah. And that specifically keys off this week, basically, right? Like, got to play well this week to make sure you get in next week and, can keep up in the points.
Yep. I think that's a good segue into our draft, because I think one thing we need to make clear the way the FedEx playoffs work is if you don't, let's just keep it easy. Like if you don't hit the cut, basically you don't move on to the next week. The fields get smaller every week. So that's something for us to keep in mind as we go into our draft, which I'll explain in a second. But it happens to work out with those implications for the Ryder Cup and the signature events, right? Like if you don't progress this week, your chances are shot. You're not playing golf again until all these things shake out. So for this, my hope is, because this is sort of a 3-week situation, we're going to do a snake draft on building our own foursomes. So each of us are going to have 4 players. We're going to go in order. I randomly did this. It's Chris, me, and then Cooper. So Cooper, you'll get the first pick in the second round. Let me explain to you how this is going to work. So we're going to pick 4 players. We're going to track points weekly across 3 playoff events. That's the St. Jude, the BMW next week, and then the Tour Championship at Eastlake. The scoring system. If you pick a player that plays in the event, you get 1 point. The reason why that's relevant is because there are some players who aren't playing in this first event. So guys like Rory, you're not going to get any points for that. And if you're not paying attention, you might end up picking someone who's not in it. So you got to pay attention. You get 1 point just if the player plays in the event. Obviously, then next week and the week after, that matters more because players can advance. You get 2 points if a player advances to the next round, 3 points for a top 10 finish, 4 points for a top 5 finish, 5 points for a solo 2, and 6 points for the winner. And then you also get a bonus if all 4 players of your advance to the next round. You get 2 bonus points. And yeah, so I'll do all the math. I'll make sure that's clear to everybody. But you're going to have the total number of points for your team. Whichever team has the most points wins. I don't know. What kind of stakes you want to put on this? 50,000 links? Higher? What do we think?
Let's do 100,000 links coin.
Okay. 100,000 links coin is the locked-in stake here. Okay, so Chris, you are up first. You get the first pick. You can explain a little bit about why if you want, but who are you going for your first pick in your foursome?
Yeah, this one probably doesn't need much explanation at all.
I'm already writing it down.
Scotty. I'd be stupid not to pick Scotty. Like the debate of whether you take Scotty or the field is like an interesting debate. Whether you should take him first in a draft like this is not really an interesting debate. So going Scotty.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go. This is where the question really comes of like how far Rory's going to fall, because I don't think it's the right first round pick because he's not playing this week. I'm going to go Xander as my first pick. I like where his game is at right now. He doesn't have really that much to lose for the Ryder Cup, but I do think he wants to be in a good place, and obviously you win a shit ton of money if you win these tournaments. And just based on his probability of finishing top 10, top 5, and winning, I like him as my first round pick. Cooper, who you got?
I'm going to go with Justin Thomas.
Ooh, got a lot to play for.
Yeah.
Right. JT.
Okay. You get the next pick.
And then to round it off, I'm going to switch off the American side and pick Oberg. Just really consistent. We're getting points for top 10s and top 5s. He's always been in the mix.
Okay, I like it.
Hard to argue with that.
I am going to go. So this is both qualitative and qualitative. So I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Draft strategy is see it like if I'm actually thinking about this or I'm trying to throw Chris off my scent for the next round. I'm kind of stuck between Matt Fitzpatrick and Russell Henley. I don't think Russell Henley has that much to lose, but he is one of the two that I mentioned that, could reasonably fall to the top 6. So I think he's going to want to play really well. Obviously, wanting to play well and playing well are different things. If it wasn't, I'd be a great golfer. But I think I'm going to go Henley because I think he's going to have the motivation to stick it in, and he's striking the ball incredibly well right now. Chris, what do you got?
Nice. I think you all are fools for letting me take both Scotty and Rory. I'm going to take Rory in this spot, and I will laugh all the way to the bank when they finish highly, both respectively. Yes, Rory's not playing this week, but look, that's only so many points in this scheme. He's still going to advance to the next round, so I still get points for that. So, your guys lost.
Oops.
But, yeah.
I think you found a loophole, and this makes me stupid, is that I think spiritually you should not get the advance to the next round points for Rory, but because of the way that it's written and because you're smarter than I am, you'll get them. But next time we do this, that's a loophole that I'm closing. So, yeah, you get Rory. I would have loved him in the third round. I don't feel like a fool. I think I'm drafting value here, but I think we'll regret not taking him. Who's your third pick?
Yeah, so this is where it starts to get a lot more interesting. I think I will go. I'm going to go Russell Henley. He has, a little more something to play for in the sense that, some people could grab an automatic qualifying spot from him for the Ryder Cup. And I also think he matches up with the courses pretty well, at least particularly this week, where it's distance isn't really at a premium and that's not his thing, but ball striking is. I think that plays out well. And I think that's the case at Caves Valley too. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'll have to double check myself later, but feel good about that pick. And he's obviously been playing really well this year.
I think that's smart. I am picking Fitzpatrick. For similar reasons, this is somewhat of a vibe pick. Number one, I really do think he matches up at Southwind very well, and I think also throughout, I think he's a good course fit. I think he's peaking at the right time. He's also on the outside looking in right now in points in the European team. He wants to be there. I'm sure he'll be a captain's pick anyway, but he was at the top of my list. I'm glad he fell to me in the third round, so I'm happy with that pick. Cooper, you got two picks here. You have Justin Thomas, Oberg. Who are you going to round out with?
I'm going to go USA, Keegan Bradley. Let's run it there. We'll go Keegan with that pick, and then I'm going to pull. Why not Tommy Fleetwood?
I like that pick.
Lad. I like it too. Getting him in the first.
I had him for the next. Yeah, queued up on my draft board for the next pick.
Yeah,
I had to do it.
This is why fantasy football leagues don't have three people in them, because all of our teams are going to be pretty good, and there's a lot of variability there. It's more fun when you get the low guys who outperform, but I think Fleetwood is one of those. I'm very happy. I would have picked him in the third. I'm glad I'm getting him in the fourth. I'm going with Ben Griffin. He's been my guy all year. Very happy. Also, right now on the outside looking in, has to perform, knows if he wants to be on the team, he's got to make it all 3 weeks, and I think he's had an incredible year, and I think he's, again, a good course fit on all three of these courses. Chris, round out your team.
And you guys took both of the guys at the top of my draft board, so now I got to scramble a little bit. I think I'm going to go Sepp Straka.
Ooh.
He is maybe reaching a little further down, but he's been he had a really strong season, a little less so late in the season, but he's actually third on the FedEx Cup points list. He has performed really well. And I think, again, he'll line up well on these courses, see how well that plays out. But, and again, someone who has a little something to play for Ryder Cup stuff, even if it's not a spot, just, tuning up the game. So
Sweet.
Go with Straka for the last spot.
Love it. Cool. I think we're all pretty happy with our teams on paper now, who's not coming out. You either hate your draft or you love it immediately after. Chris, you have Scotty, Rory, Henley, and Straka. I have Xander. Wait, did I write this down wrong? I thought I picked Henley in the second, didn't I?
There was some mixing happening with your tabbing. I had to replace Justin Thomas and Oberg a couple times on my side of the
bad record keeping. All right, so hold on a second. So now, so you had
the
Scotty.
whole system's coming into question already. We just finished up.
There's a leak in the dam. Scotty, Rory, Chris, who did you have?
Scotty, Rory, I think Henley, and Sepp Straka.
I had Xander.
You had Fitz and Griffin. I actually don't remember who you picked second time around.
I really thought I picked Russell Henley.
English?
It's okay. We have it on tape. We have it on tape.
It is recorded, if anyone in chat remembers, but we can rewind this.
That'd be sweet if you could help us out. Okay, so we'll lock it in. We got the documented evidence. The question isn't can I write things down while talking live. It's okay. So we got our teams. TBD what mine is, but Cooper, yours is Justin Thomas, Ludwig Oberg, Keegan Bradley, and Tommy Ladd. All right. So again, big thing to look out for this week is where these players finish. So we all get 1 point. So we're all starting with 4 except for Chris. So Chris is at a starting disadvantage there. He'll get his loophole of 2 auto, so he makes up 1 again, which we're not guaranteed. Big thing is, do the players advance 2 points, top 10 this week, 3 points, top 5, 4, runner-up 5, and winner 6. And then again, if everyone advances, which this is an advantage Chris has because he has an accounting background and likes details, and I'm not as smart as he is, he will also get an advantage there. So good luck to everybody, 100,000 links in the line, and we'll keep you updated on how it goes.
And remember, there's an asterisk because Taylor Gooch wasn't available for selection. Just gotta keep that.
Always.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing with Neiman, right? I mean, it's just I don't even know why we're watching if the 2 best players in the world aren't even involved.
I would have picked them if they were available. Just want to put that out there.
I thought about picking them anyway, just like
for
vibes. just because like out of principle. I think it's important that we're as a stand against the corrupt global golf machine. All right. Speaking of global golf, this is also exciting. I think we do not want to sleep under the rug. We talked about last week, like it is a really great time to watch women's golf right now. The LPGA's British Open, which I laugh at a lot, just the naming that like the Open is so insistent, and the stupid bit that I created in which I'm calling it the British Open. It's officially called the Women's British Open on the women's side. Why not just be as insistent? If it really matters, call it the Women's Open. I don't know why they're calling it the British Open. That's where I've seen it everywhere. That's where I've seen it everywhere. Maybe that's not
okay.
Maybe I'm waiting in. Let's see. But
I know AIG is officially in the title, right? They do the name sponsors for the events and stuff.
I take it back. Hand up.
AIG.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I got my information from a secondary source, which was an article about it. But the official website is the AIG Women's Open. Strike that. I'm stupid. But yeah, Chris, I'll start with you. I know you'll be watching. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I was watching last week, and that it was a fun tournament. Like it's cool to get a last taste of links golf. It was kind of interesting the way the tournament shook out. It wasn't super competitive, really. Miyu Yamashita was miles ahead even after the second round, and then going into the final round, no one was really putting up a fight except for Charlie Hull made a run at it, which was fun to see. I mean, she's English, right? So a little bit of a hometown favorite, even if it wasn't in England technically. And she's just a more, I don't know, gets, the media eats it up anytime, she's kind of out there. She has a much more stronger personality, I would say. You see her ripping darts out on the course, all sorts of stuff. So it was fun to have her in the mix. And I will say, I didn't realize this going in, but I think she's now been runner-up in a major 4 times. Actually, kind of wasn't. I didn't recognize that history going in, but it did make it even a little more meaningful just watching the tournament and obviously wanting to get her over the hump. And, but yeah, so I mean, fun to watch. Made it a little interesting at the end. Got to see a new course I hadn't really seen for Old Porthcawl at all, and get a last taste of links golf, at least on TV for the season. Lucky us, we get to go over to Spey Bay and play some Ryder Cup ourselves at some links golf destination soon. But It was a good watch. I wholeheartedly liked watching some more coffee golf in the morning, and honestly probably preferred it to watching the Wyndham the Wyndham Championship this year with Cam Young just running away with it and beating everyone by 10 shots.
Agreed. Yeah, Porthcawl looked cool. I had no relationship with that course. I've never played golf in England. Definitely something I want to check out. That area. Obviously, it's in Wales, I think, but whatever, geography. Cool. All right, well, let's transition. I want to talk a little bit about the new Clubhouse we launched last week. Typically, the way that we launch things, we sort of launch it, like obviously we do a lot of internal testing. We, in the Discord, there were a bunch of people who raised their hand and said they wanted to test sort of in alpha. So we sort of feature flagged them in to be able to use the alpha before anyone else used it. We got a bunch of feedback. We got a bunch of bug reports. We were able to fix a bunch of stuff. So that's sort of always the second step. And the third step is we sort of quietly launch it so that people can find it. And, that way we get a little bit more scale, maybe catch some new bugs, fix some more things before announcing it officially, outwardly, where, we're going to get a lot more traffic and things need to be much better. So we crossed that Rubicon last week. A new Clubhouse is now available to everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why we rebuilt it, sort of how we built it, and I think there's some interesting things about AI and software development, but also sort of the future and direction of the club. So I don't want this to be a monologue. Yeah. So
I just wanted to jump in and I do think it's worth starting off with why were we doing this? Why were we
you interview me now.
Energy? But I think that's a good place to start though.
Yep.
Okay, it was a big effort to redo the whole clubhouse. We had a nice looking clubhouse before. Why did we go through all of this? So maybe just start there. What's, from your perspective, why did we go through all this?
Mm-hmm.
What's better about it? Why were we even thinking about doing this in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is one of the cool things about having a digital clubhouse is, we would never rebuild a clubhouse we just built 2.5 years ago at a physical club, right? Even though there's probably things you want to change about it, just like you build a house. I'm sure a year in, you're like, I wish we did this differently. So one is a little bit of history about the clubhouse. So it started, Curtis, who was an early contributor to the project in the very early days around it Mint, was software developer, and just sort of decided to build a clubhouse. Mostly kind of just for fun. We're a club, we should have a clubhouse, right? And at the beginning of that, it had sort of some announcements, some member directory, and then ultimately where it became really important was our ability to deliver benefits to members when we started signing up partners. So in the early days, that's where people were able to get their Callaway benefit, their Topgolf benefit, and any of the benefits that we brought on. You go to the clubhouse, you would authenticate with an NFT, which was, at the time, really exciting and interesting that you could just permissionlessly log into a website using an NFT. The rails were built for, being able to use your MetaMask through, signing a message. It's not a transaction, so it's safe, and that authenticates you, and then you could use the clubhouse, right? We quickly, as we scaled and got more members and had more people using it, we quickly realized we, wanted to take more of a sort of end-to-end design pass. We wanted to make it look as beautiful as you would expect for a membership. We wanted to make sure that it was easier to use and it had sort of the features that you would expect, while we also started to scale towards fiat memberships, right? We started offering fiat memberships in addition to the NFT ones that next year. And so we wanted to, we had to do a bunch of stuff to make it so that those people could sign in and those people could get the right permissions, right? Because not every membership gets to see or do the same amount of things that other memberships, right? Globals have sort of the most access all the way down to, what we're starters would have the least. So that was a pretty significant effort to build it. We built it on, candidly, pretty complicated back-end stacks that over time, we just accrued a lot of technical debt. And most startups, you're just building features, moving as fast as possible. And you're not always thinking about the implications of sort of what that looks like over time. But, if you've ever built software before, you know that every decision has implications in the future, good or bad. So that was one reason. It's just we accrued a lot of technical debt. We had a pretty overcomplicated system that we thought that we could drastically simplify so that we could move a lot faster. So when we talk about the future, we can move a lot faster now to deliver on feedback or ideas that the community has. That's one. Second one is another big thing that changed was AI became a lot better at helping build software. And so we're, this one of the things that if you've vibe coded or whatever, you recognize that like it's really easy to AI yourself from 0 to 1. Like, I want to build this thing and I want to make a website, and I can do that in an afternoon or an evening. And oh, cool, I published it and people can see it. It's harder to build scalable with thousands of users, scalable software with AI. So another reason we did this is we wanted to set the patterns correctly for the app so that we could leverage AI to actually build good software. And so that meant both like a ton of stuff is just, and it comes out every day, right? But like getting to the ability where you're getting good output from prompts and that you're actually able to lean into agents to do a lot of the work that either we wouldn't be able to get to, or we would maybe do more slowly, or we would do less consistently left to our own devices, right? So building it AI natively was another huge reason for doing this. And I'm glad we did, because now as we build new things, each time it gets easier and easier and easier. The third of 4 reasons was we wanted to more tightly integrate links into Clubhouse. We'll talk a little bit more, but we are completely relaunching the rewards program and backing it with links. So we had to do a pretty significant overhaul of how all that stuff worked natively. It's why it wasn't ready when we launched, because there were still some things to button up. It will be launching this week. And so you will be able to see your links earnings, and we'll explain all of this in an email and make it very clear to people. I won't go into it today, but we wanted it to be links native as much as we wanted it to be AI native. And now it is, which is good. The other thing is just like we got a lot of feedback over the years of just different things. Like one of the things, the highest voted on, upvoted feature was having a map in the course page. It's like such an obvious thing. We just never got to it for some of the reasons above, but also just like there was other stuff to do. So we wanted to like really sit down and just like rethink the UI of the Clubhouse mobile first, because that's where like maps get a little bit tricky from a UI perspective. So we wanted to say like it is a web app, but we designed the whole thing on every screen size. When we built it, we looked at the mobile screen size first. Obviously it's responsive and blah blah blah, but we really thought about this is the mobile experience, and then how does that scale to desktop. So you'll notice that there's like more white space, and like those were all very conscious decisions that we made. You can provide feedback whether or not you like that or you don't like that. We are happy to hear it, but that's the reason why we did it that way, is because most people use the Clubhouse on their phone. And we could go into why we haven't delivered an app yet, and we could talk about it if we should or we shouldn't, but we wanted to make sure that the web experience was really, really good on mobile, because that's where 60 to 70% of our traffic comes from. And then the last thing I'll say, talking a lot, sorry. The last thing I'll say is we also wanted to really rethink the authentication and sort of account model experience, because when we launched when we introduced the concept of being able to log in with email, it was really hard to build the ship while we were sailing it, because of the way that it would connect to a wallet. And then we had all these things where if you wanted to change your email, because we know that like most of our members, in the census, they told us they wanted to get updates from us via email. So that means you needed to have an email. We need to make sure that email was accurate based on your membership, so you got the right emails and like blah, blah, blah. So we completely retooled the authentication model. So like now you can just sign in with an email, and we know that email rarely changes. You can change it in the Clubhouse if you want to. And then you can connect your wallet or wallets to it. Will become more relevant in the future with Links Coin and everything else. But now you just have one Links account, and that one Links account rules them all, and you don't have to change it. And if you sell the NFT, then, we look at your wallet, doesn't have the NFT in it. Okay, cool. You're not a member anymore. If you buy the NFT, you log in, it immediately recognizes you as a member, so you can get started as a member. And there's just a lot of work there to make that easier, because we wanted to make sure that it was effortless, and it wasn't. So we fixed that problem with the new one.
Yeah, I was going to mention that last piece as well. That you got to it, but that was definitely a big one, at least from my perspective as a user. Right, that's a big switch, and I'm sure some people will see the new Clubhouse and think, "Oh, what's going on? Like, I can't just log in with my wallet, do it permissionlessly." Yada yada yada. But the flip side of that is, I mean, we got a ton of questions or just feedback around okay, I'm moving my NFT from wallet to wallet. I have things in multiple wallets. Like, it's created a lot of issues and a lot of like support issues, right? People's accounts getting mucked up, or email attached to the wrong one, or all sorts of those types of things. And particularly with Links Coin coming, which is on Base, different chain, all those things. it was actually really important to like be able to bring all of that into a single account. Like you said, have it attached with email, which is what we know people, the vast majority of folks want to receive communications in, and
Yep.
have kind of a single account and not run into all those issues that ultimately create like worse user experiences for people.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was, at least for me, that felt like one of the biggest switches. I'm really glad we got there. And, hopefully people will, enjoy that new flow, or being able to kind of connect everything in one spot and,
Yep.
kind of sense that from their end as well.
Yeah. And I think like one of the things that really struck me about the census is we had a pretty equal split about people. Like, I think we asked a question that was something to the effect of, is it most important that this is like a crypto maxi project or a golf maxi project? And we found is like, obviously there are people who answered yes to those questions, but the grand majority were like, we want a balance of the both. And I think in the early days, like the permissionless access to a website using your wallet would have been the like crypto maxi choice in a vacuum, the right choice to call if that's what you're optimizing for. I think a big thing that we learned over time is that like our members are willing to make trade-off. Like again, some people aren't, but like the grand majority of people, based on the census feedback and the feedback we got and everything else, is that they're willing to make a trade-off there to make it easier, right? Because at the end of the day, like accessing the clubhouse is where you get most of the value of your membership. We wanted to make that as easy as possible. And if we're making decisions that are just optimizing for like the principles of you can't use email to log in, it's going to make everything else harder. And so we made a deliberate decision there, and I think I'm confident we made the right one based on the feedback we got before and the feedback we've gotten since. But yeah, so that part I think is a big win, and I think then, but still the core of Clubhouse is a very Web3 NFT focused experience, right? Like there are now just the NFT memberships, and you can add your wallets there so that you can have all that stuff in one place. We'll talk about it more with links, and we'll explain sort of more of the announcements, but you don't have to have your links paid out to the same wallet that you keep your NFT. So we've also thought really deeply about cold storage and everything else. Like part of the other reason why the email is relevant is that way, if you keep your wallet, if you have a cold wallet that has your NFT, you do not want to do that just to log into a website. Like that just doesn't make any sense. So by doing it in email and you connect your wallet once, then it just works, right? But the same thing goes is, let's say you want to have your links paid out to a hot wallet that you can use for betting or whatever else. You can just add that to the clubhouse, designate that as the destination for the payouts each month, and it just works, right? So the last thing I'll say is, if you're listening to this and you're like, I got to go back in and I got to link my account, we took care of all that stuff. The migration, is running very smoothly. Basically, if you had an account in the old clubhouse, if you log in with an email, it'll just work. It'll already have the wallet that was connected before. If you've changed where that NFT is, on your own, you can just go in, you can add a wallet that has that NFT, and it'll immediately recognize your membership, and you will not lose any of the information that you had on your account before.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
You guys, I mean, thought about this really pragmatically, right? Like we want to accomplish the goal of getting you, the member, as much golf capability as you can, as smoothly as possible. And, we're really excited for you to try it out. I've really loved the new clubhouse so far. Log in, add a wallet, do whatever you need to do, complete your profile, and let us know what you think, right? Because this is, like you said, it's an ongoing process. We're live now, but we're going to continue adding, improving, and changing things over time. And the most important element is your feedback as members, right? And what you want to see, and what you like, and what you don't like. So definitely keep that coming. Pop into Discord, open a ticket right there in Clubhouse. If you ever have an issue, right at the bottom right, there's a little chat icon. You can open it up there. If you're not seeing your right memberships or wallets, or have any questions, you can reach us there.
Yeah. I mean, I've been working in software development for almost 20 years, and I'll tell you, like, the reason why I love working here is because of that feedback. Like, it not only, like, practically speaking, is it good to have a lot of really smart people tell you what they want. We just have a really close connection. So, like, I read the Discord messages. Like, if you have ideas, tag me and we'll talk about it. And we can, obviously some things are easier to do and some things are harder to do. But yeah, now that it's launched, now we have a roadmap, right? So it's like, let's talk through what those things should be, what people want to see, what people want to see changed. We're going to be very, very responsive on that front. So please do let us know.
And who knows, good ideas might even get more links coin rewards in response.
Never been easier to earn on that front.
Never been easier.
Cool. So
Can I just add one more observation, because I just found it interesting. You mentioned kind of AI native or kind of using AI much more. I found it kind of wild to watch how much has changed in how the software development piece of our company or project has moved from even like 1 year ago
It's
to
insane.
now is insanity,
Yeah.
and seeing that kind of come to life through the rework of the Clubhouse has been pretty wild to watch. Just kind of how much how much more quickly we can iterate or we can test out new, prototypes or looks, mock-ups, and everything else is absolutely insane. I'm sure people are, seeing this in their own work or
Mhm.
other aspects of their life, and it's kind of happening everywhere. But really kind of brought that to life. It was fun to watch, and interesting to see how that will um, continue happening in the future
Mhm.
too, right? Just gives the ability to cycle faster, try out new things faster, which we're kind of always doing. So that has been
Yep.
super cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as like a traditional product manager early in my career, what you would do is you have a plan, you'd write like a one pager so that you can think and talk about it and get alignment on it, whatever. Then you write a really long, detailed PRD, right, that has every single specification of what you expect out of that. That then goes through a technical process review in which there's a tech spec and then there's a design and then you have to talk to the design like there's all these steps and all this stuff just before you get to the manifestation of that thinking so that you can validate your idea, right? And obviously if you're a product manager or a product technical person there, there's a lot of complexity through all that stuff. I'm oversimplifying. What it is now, it's amazing, is it's like, cool, I have an idea, I'm going to express that idea through a prototype. So just build a prototype. It might look nothing like the eventual thing, although because with lots of different templating things like Shad CN, whatever, you can make it look pretty close. And then you just use it and give feedback immediately. And this takes a potentially month-long thing, and it does it in it makes it possible to get a prototype done in an hour. And then immediately people can use it, give you feedback, and that only strengthens the iterative process of making things better. Like there is a very real practical effect that it's had on the quality you'll see as a member of our products, like our technical products, the speed in which we're able to deliver things, and how responsive we can be to your feedback. It is an absolute game changer, and it's only going to get better.
I'm amped up. I'm hyped. You guys are killing it. This is really cool. Um, yeah, try it out. Let us know your thoughts. Right, it's our clubhouse, all of us together. So pop in and let us know what you love, what you want to see, and we'll keep it rolling.
Please do. All right, so to wrap up here, I did want to give us a chance to react to the breaking news earlier today. Uh, I'm not talking about the lame stream Ryder Cup anymore. I'm talking about Spey Bay Ryder Cup. We are within the month. We're going to be in Scotland and we're going to be competing against the Europeans. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The Europeans kicked our ass last year.
It's true.
It left a bad taste in all our mouths. It was embarrassing. It was regrettable, and frankly, I think we should apologize for the performance last year. However, this year is going to be different. There was I don't know what you say, Chris. The organizers, the like, what is their official role in this? But there was basically the first press conference talking about the conditions of the course, where we're at right now,
The
how they're preparing the
hosts.
course, everything.
Yeah.
The hosts, okay, the hosts, Bert and David. I think things that I took away is they've really been on the course and making sure during the driest year potentially in Scotland golf history that the greens still are looking great. That he did a stat of just like how many millions of liters they've pumped onto the course to just make
5.5
sure the greens are
million.
looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
so it looks like the course is going to be in great shape. They also were a little bit cagey on some of these potential additional ways that the teams can earn points. Chris, I don't know if you can say anything about that, but I think it was a good early look into how this event is going to take shape. So just wanted to get some early hot take reactions from the press conference from y'all, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think starting off, Greg, having you there, you were a missing key for last year. That's going to be a huge difference. I will say the course conditioning at the Ryder Cup last year was maybe the best I've ever seen at Spey Bay. Late season, beautiful time to be out there. A little earlier this year. That's going to be really good, as they mentioned. The pub games and off-course points, I'm really interested to see how that plays out. gonna be cool. Also, if the margin of victory is really close and it kind of comes down to something like that, I don't know how thrilled I'll be versus it being
Did they introduce
pure
that
golf.
just to give us a shot? Like, is that the reason why it's there? Like, that might be the only reason we have a chance to win.
Maybe, unless the pub games are like, super American favorite. Like, is it a shooting contest? I might be able to, score some points.
Is it a be an asshole contest?
Exactly.
Hell yeah, let's go.
It's
Easy point for us.
Ignorant, loud American contests. We can win those. No, I think it's going to be really, really good to compete in a lot of different ways and have people who, might not feel super stoked about their golf skill but want to compete in this event to come out and play. That being said, one of the highest handicappers out there last season crushed our lowest handicap player for the U.S. team. Shout out J-Bop beating Bucks. I hate to keep bringing this up, Bucks, but it was one of the highlights of the 2024 Ryder Cup. So gotta shout out that.
For sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm really excited to be there and see what's gonna go down.
Yeah, just to add some color onto how bad it was as someone who wasn't there. So we built this fun little, basically it looked exactly like the Ryder Cup website that we could keep track of the scores. And I was on my own golf trip, which is why I wasn't there. And so I was getting reports from Bert live to update the website. After the second day, I woke up, because obviously timeline differences. I woke up to a message from him that said, I think it would be inappropriate to continue to update the scoring because I don't want to embarrass the Americans. And he wasn't being mean. He wasn't being funny. He was being concerned. Okay. So that's what we're up against. We are not only is it an away game for us, Americans never win the quote unquote real, which I'm calling the lamestream Ryder Cup. They in Europe, but we got to find something. I think that's over the course of the next couple of weeks. I know we've all been preparing, but I think we gotta figure out one, how do we become a team? I just watched Miracle on a flight. I think this is the right playbook, right? First, we gotta figure out how we become a team. We don't play for our own individual clubs or courses or whatever. We represent America. That's number one. Number two is we got to figure out how to take them where their game is, right? Just like with everyone else played defense against the Russians were too good. If you attack the Russians, you have a chance. We got to figure out how to play their game on their soil because they're not going to expect that. And then we just, we got to show up. So I don't know what else we can do. We got to get a glue together. We got a team. I think we're sending a good team over there, but we got a lot of work to do over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I will say I do not know all of the details of all the things. I'm woefully ignorant. So I'm as excited as everyone else on learning all the details of the format and some of the other surprises I know we have coming. Some of them I know, some of them I'm sure I don't. Bert and team obviously always do a great job of putting on events and getting us all hyped up and excited about what's coming. So looking forward to that as much as everybody else. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun time. We'll all have to stay tuned over the next couple weeks to see what other news comes out in the run up.
Yeah, there might be some alpha there with Greg's movie recommendation. If you haven't rewatched the classic hockey movie Miracle, give it a rewatch. Just check it out. Could come in handy.
For sure. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Obviously, Cooper Chris, thank you as always for joining me. Basketball, appreciate it, even though she didn't do much. Just a couple of reminders. Check out Hillcrest memberships. You can do those right in the clubhouse. If you have any questions, reach out. Let us know if you're interested in joining there. Check out our Instagram, our YouTube. There's a lot of Hillcrest and Spey Bay event updates and just kind of things that are happening in the club that happen there. We're doing more and more long-form stuff on YouTube with the Reversing Spey video, but we have more to that to come as well. Spoiler alert, but there's just a ton of stuff happening on the Spey Bay Instagram, the Links Instagram. If you want to see what's happening at Hillcrest, there's been some great drone stuff, lots of updates happening there. There's just a ton of content to see what's going on. I highly recommend following all those accounts, which we'll link in the show notes so that you can get updates right to your feeds. But if you have any guest ideas, hot takes, feedback, hit us on the Discord. We're always available there. But also follow the pod on YouTube, follow it on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a review. And, of course, we will see you next week. See y'all.
See y'all.